a bit weird. But anyway, happy Black History Month. Blah, 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 blah. The theme this year is reclaiming narratives, I believe, which is interesting. Last week, I was out with my girl and we were talking about something, and then I was telling her about how my friend found his wife. So for, I guess, like, I want to say like Black Christians, especially in the UK, even actually America, there are like some main topics that we talk about a lot: marriage, blah blah blah, blah. And how we also, I guess, find the person that we get married to. And it's just like the same kind of story. So sometimes you'll feel like if you don't get married in the same way, or if you don't find a person in the same way, they're not the right person for you. That can typically happen. And I tweeted about it. I was like, oh, you know what, like, God, like, something like, help us with like the full narrative or something. And then Black History Month, the theme is reclaiming narratives. I was thinking about it yesterday. Just thinking about, because I'm a Christian Black young adult woman, and I've always felt like in my life, like there weren't conversations that I needed growing up. So a lot of the time, for a long time, I was reading a word, listening to like The Real on YouTube, like first and second seasons, and Google. That's what I was doing to feed myself. That's what I was using. And then also like talking with my friends and stuff. As I've grown, it's still the same kind of thing. Like, full topics are not being discussed. But anyway, this video isn't actually about marriage or anything like that. For people who may have seen, there'll be protests on Saturday at Ghana High Commission in London because of what's happening in Ghana. For several years, they've been dealing with galamsey, which is the illegal mining, and how it's affecting their water and just their living in general. Over the last couple of weeks, there have been protests in Ghana, and some people have been arrested illegally because they were non-violent protests, and they didn't have access to their lawyers. Their families didn't know. I believe there was a woman who was pregnant. She didn't receive food for 48 hours, allegedly. It's just been like inhumane treatment over there. And America, some places where Ghanaians are generally, they're protesting, and here they're going to be protesting in London. And I thought about it. I thought, would I join? And I knew my answer. And then in my head, I was just hearing the voices of, I mean, it's fiction, but evangelism on your doorstep you won't do, but protesting in London you will go. And blah blah blah. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, because I've heard it, not necessarily about me, but like just about things in general, like leaders in various churches, to be fair, leaders and even young leaders talk like that. And for me, as I thought about it, I just actually just gave myself a moment. I said, you know what, Catherine, no one should be able to say that about you. Like, no one should be able to say that about you. To be fair, you don't even see all the evangelism that I do. But still, no one should be able to say that about you, Amma. Like, it's do you know what I mean? In August, there was actually in the church that I attend Church of Pentecost UK, and in August there was an evangelism month. And it was interesting. I'm a part of the evangelism team in one of the locals that I attend, and we did some activities during the week. And in one of the activities, we talked about the different kinds of evangelism. And as I'm sure we know, there are different kinds, and there's this one called passive evangelism, which you may not have known the word. However, it's just like basically your life evangelizing to people as it like it. You know that verse that says, oh, no, it's not scripture. When people say, oh, like your life will be the only Bible that people read and blah blah blah, all of those like things. And it's very true. It's definitely something that I do, not in a performative way, but I do it. And I was just thinking, like, that's not the only way to do it, of course, and it should never be a cop-out. I believe that there are so many ways to evangelize, but if I am only choosing one particular way, whether it's just speaking to people quietly or whatever, or making sure that I form friendships before evangelizing, that's wrong. What if I don't like the person? And it can happen. We don't like everyone. So do I withhold the gospel from them because of that? No. Do I always have to evangelize like in like hidden spaces or like just at work because I don't want to be seen out in the community? That's wrong. Or do I only want to evangelize where I'm seen in the community for whatever reason so people can see that I'm doing it? It's wrong. I believe like I should proclaim Christ openly and publicly as possible, and even in the times when I feel uncomfortable. So I should be doing the right thing in that sense. So cool. I do think that on the other hand, if the only time people hear my voice is when I'm saying explicitly Jesus Christ or God, that's wrong. If the only time people hear me saying anything is when I'm saying God, something explicitly, I'm going to go into detail on it, explicitly about God, that is wrong. Because firstly, I'm not drawing on the fact that God is actually in everything. He's in everything. So whether it's like a specific Bible verse specifically each time, or I'm saying his name specifically or not, I need to be showing God in nature. I should be showing God in my relationships. I should be showing God in my money management, in everything. And in that way, I can evangelize in everything as well. But if the only time people hear me talking, the only time that I speak on my social media, the only time, it's not right. And I think that, that has to change in my evangelism anyway. Not say that it hasn't, but it should be something that I should improve in my practice, I would say. It's kind of like when you're in the house and you've got like one of them absent present fathers, and the house is breaking down, the boiler's busted, carpet is everything is mashed up, and the only time they speak is when they don't have soup on the table. What are you talking about? You're embarrassing. Like, no. And that's literally kind of like, we're in a world that is depreciating, it's being ruined, and the only time that we speak is when we're saying God specifically, when there are other ways that we can evangelize. There are other ways that we can talk about God's goodness. There are other ways that we can literally lead, because God has made us stewards of this earth. And that is why this Galamsey thing is even horrible, because it should never be happening. It shouldn't be happening at all. We need to be stewards of the earth. So I say this to say, I feel like I'll just talk about me. I need to do a better job of speaking about the full narrative of God. It's not a narrative in the sense that, like, it's fake. I want to talk about the full God. I want to talk about full God, like, because so far I just feel like there's only some areas that I talked about with God. There's only some areas that we prove him to be king and sovereign over all, and then the other areas we go mute. And to be fair, right now with evangelizing, you can't just tell someone Jesus is king or whatever. People that I know in South London or wherever, South London, let's talk about South London, they're going to be like, okay, cool. You want me to buy into Christianity. You want me to start coming to your church. But what is your church doing to make the community, make society better? The thing is, if God only was about certain things like marriage and how to make my finances better, then fair enough. But that is not the case. His word is all encompassing. It permeates all aspects of life. So I just feel like I need to do a better job of not doing either or, evangelism or protesting, or evangelism in the community center versus making friends first before evangelizing them. I just need to do everything and speak about God in all ways. And I guess not reclaim the narrative, but show that God was already always prevalent. He was always the first choice. He was always our best option in life on earth. So I think that makes sense. I've spoken about a few things, but yeah, happy Black History Month.